And good Sunday afternoon, everyone. This is John and Shawn with Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. We are now 67 days away from the NFL kickoff between the Bills and the Rams. So, Shawn, starting to wind down fast. Summer's going by fast. How are you this Sunday? And any big plans for tonight or tomorrow's holiday?
Relaxation. But no, I mean the football season's coming up quick. I mean, 67 days before we'll just keep blinking, and every week we blink, it'll just get closer and closer and closer. I mean, training camp's starting up soon, so once training camp starts, it's like there's a season's right there. Preseason starts. It's a month away until I believe opening weekend for the Hall of Fame game. So once that happens, things are going to start flowing quickly.
Yeah, so let's before we dive into on Thursday night, we gave our number 11 through 20. We'll recap that before we jump into our top 10. But while we wait for some people to show up, let's just go through see if there's any NFL news. You have been keeping track of free agency, and you told me you haven't done it for 10 days, and there were still only 4 signings.
Yeah, and two of them were kickers. One was a retirement, and one was just Terry McLaurin signed his extension, so it wasn't even any like major free agency.
Yeah, so let's take a look around, see what's going on in the league here before we dive into the top 10 running backs. I'll put the link in for we did top 20 quarterbacks or top 10 quarterbacks and the 11 through 20 running backs. Those videos are over on YouTube if anybody wants to watch them. But let's see here. OBJ said he played the second half of the season without an ACL. Well, first off, that's not possible.
Yeah, if that's the case, then he must have been getting cortisone shots and everything else in his legs throughout games. There's no way he played.
I don't think he'd have been able to move his leg, honestly. If he did, maybe he had a strain or something. But to say he played without it, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, I don't think that could be possible.
Brett Favre expects drop off in production from Devontae Adams without Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback.
Of course, he's going to say that.
Well, I actually agree with Favre. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be horrible or whatever, but first off, with all the weapons that they have over there, and Carr is definitely nowhere near as good as Rodgers as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I think Carr, though, is going to target Adams a lot. I think we're definitely going to see – I think we'll see more receptions, not as many yards.
Gotcha. Well, that was the thing. In Green Bay, if you look at a lot of his catches, they were just like off the line of scrimmage, and then he would get the yards after the catch. So
I think especially because of the division he's playing in, the division's defenses are so weaker at the cornerback position. I think that's where he's going to gain a lot.
Yeah, so Dolphins, Xavier Howard gives back, maintains hometown roots, conducts youth football camp in his hometown. That's good. I'd like to hear some good news. USC baseball. Not sure why that's here. Quick hits. Patriots, an enjoyable vacation. Who cares? Well, I don't know. The Patriots, they're not building a new stadium, so why is that in the...
I think they're regenerating it to get more stands in the corner there.
Oh, gotcha.
It was kind of like a dead area. So you can see that I think they're wrapping it around because it was open on that one end of their stadium. It was wide open. So I think they're closing it off for wind because it was like a wind tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. So let's keep looking through the news here. Not much going on, like I said. Which NFC South cornerback is poised to earn All-Star recognition? He leads off with cornerback.
And then talks about the NFC North and NFC East, I mean.
Yeah. Yep. Giants' Daniel Jones was predicted to be replaced after this NFL season.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of said that. It's his last of his contract.
Right. Agreed. How will the Ravens respond to missing the playoffs for the first time since Lamar became their quarterback? I honestly, on paper, I know they have some question marks at wide receiver, but to me, they're the best team in that division.
We had this conversation the other night. I disagree.
Well, you can't always be right. Most NFL receptions through their first 100 games. Keenan Allen. Wow.
He's
Antonio.
the he's the only active player right now.
Right. Yeah, because Julio hasn't signed. Bolden and Harrison. So, man.
Yeah, and Brown already said pretty much his career's over.
Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell believes wide receiver Justin Jefferson could set records in his offense. Ooh.
I do believe that could happen.
Do I take him first overall in the draft if I end up with the first pick?
You ain't getting first pick, bud. Stop it.
As long as I pick before you, I'm taking him.
That's fine. You'll leave a lot of other players open for me, and I'll still beat you.
So probably you have that. I don't know what it is, but all right. So nothing like we said. Not much news going on. Things are going to get quiet now until training camps officially open up here at the end of the month. So, Shawn, let's recap. We did do 20 down to 11 on Thursday night. Oops, let's switch this up a minute so you guys can see it. Let's see here. Oh man! So you're at number 20. You had Antonio Gibson. 19, Josh Jacobs. J.K. Dobbins at 18. Zeke at 17. Chubb at 16. Barkley, you're very high on Barkley. Why Barkley so high?
I just think it's his make or break year, honestly. And I think with the Giants' offense kind of changing completely, it's pretty much his make or break season for his contract. And if he wants to go forward with the Giants or even to get a contract elsewhere to kind of pursue a different side of his career and maybe with an offensive line that's built better, I think that's where it's going to come in this year.
So you have 14, Javonte Williams from Denver. 13, David Montgomery, who I'm not as high on. 12, Aaron Jones, who I'm not as high on either.
I think his speed helps him so much. And the fact that he can see the field a lot better with him seeing the field better, I think is going to help him get more yards where A.J. Dillon doesn't really have the speed to get downhill and kind of take off running, where Aaron Jones can take a 5-yard gain and turn it into a 50.
I mean, this is going to be weird to say because Rodgers is their quarterback, but I think teams are going to be able to play the run more just because they're not going to be scared of the Packers receivers.
See, but I also think Aaron Jones could do the Leonard Fournette treatment, where a lot of catches come out of the backfield, and he can just get the PPR game going like that.
Gotcha. And at number 11, you had James Conner. We'll do my top 10 or bottom 10 as well. I believe Conner was the only one we had the same.
Yeah, in the first 10, that was the only ones we had the same.
So let's look at mine. I had David Montgomery at number 20. Oops. Travis Etienne, I'm expecting a big year from him coming back from that injury where he missed all of last year. Now Robinson, I believe, will miss the first 6 games or so.
Yeah.
And Etienne, yeah. I don't think he'll give up the starting job even when Robinson comes back.
Yeah, I think Robinson's gone the first, I think it said 6 to 10 weeks.
Oh, 6 to 10 weeks. So then I got Elijah Mitchell at number 18. Like we said Thursday night, he wasn't even projected to be their starter last year. But he does get the starting job. But then I got Breece Hall of the Jets. He will be the Jets' workhorse this year as long as he can stay healthy. The Jets have revamped their offensive line, and on paper have one of the best lines in football. So in that West Coast offense, he's going to be a big part, and he can pass block as well, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So he's definitely going to be definitely could be rookie of the year this year. Akers, a little high on Akers this year, coming back. He came back at the end of last year, but I expect big things from him. But there is a question mark, how healthy is he going to be? Is he going to be able to carry the workload? And they are a passing team, so I'm not sure what is their ability catching balls out of the backfield is.
Yeah, I think that's the only concern with me is his injury prone. So how does he kind of bounce back as a full healthy year? Because his last year he played was, and well, the last time he played really was only in the playoffs. Other than that, he didn't play all of the year until week 18, I think, and it was only one carry for like 3 yards.
Right. Yeah, something like that. So at 15, I have Josh Jacobs. Just too many weapons. I know a lot of people have Josh Jacobs top 10. I dropped him down a little bit from there. Just too many weapons, and like I said, they did get Zamir White, and I like Zamir White. I think he's going to cut into those carries and catches out of the backfield there.
Yeah, I think that'll be Josh Jacobs' year now, make or break.
14, I had Ezekiel Elliott. I couldn't come up with anything. Zeke just puts up his numbers. Like he finished sixth last year, but I'm like you. Pollard is gonna get some more carries and definitely more catches out of the backfield this year. So a little knock for Elliott.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be Pollard's. I think Pollard now that I think he got a contract this year as well in the offseason. I think he's got to kind of get the flow going, and he's got to step up in the offense. He got to be a bigger part now, especially if you're going to want to be there. Honestly, though, I think if Pollard's on any other really team, I think he's a starter. I just think if you say he was on the Texans, he's guaranteed a starter. Colts, he's battling, but he could be able to be a different workhorse, especially with Taylor. But then you got teams like the Chiefs or the Broncos. Like he could definitely be a starter there.
Right. At 13, I have Gibson, another guy who's always quietly in the top 10 to 12 range. Like I said, Wentz is having Wentz there is going to hurt the running game a little bit because they will be able to pass more now with a quality quarterback, and keeping McLaurin there and drafting Dotson in this year's draft. I think Gibson's numbers will come down. So for like last year, I think he finished 8th. So this year I have him at 13. At 12, Williams. I loved Williams in college. The Jets ended up getting his college roommate, Michael Carter. But I think last year, him and Gordon split carries 50-50. They both had 203 carries. I think that changes this year. I think Williams gets anywhere from 55 to 60% of the touches. So I like him a little bit more this year than I did last year.
Yeah, I just think that I think Williams now is going to see the ball a lot more in the red zone where Gordon was seeing it more last year. I think now that Gordon kind of just got that 1-year deal in the offseason just to come back, I think now he's realizing like he's not the starter anymore. He lost that job. Now it's just kind of be the backup role.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to see, like I said, we both had Connor at 11. Connor, I think, was 5th last year in the final rankings. I think that comes down a little bit. I have that because I have his touchdowns coming down, not his yards or his receptions out of the backfield, just his touchdowns. I believe he had 18 last year combined, and we have him at like 12 or 13 this year combined.
Yeah, I don't see him getting 18 again, honestly. I mean, I think the first 8 weeks he was averaging 1.5 or something a game with touchdowns. It was like obscene number for a guy that you didn't even think was a starter. So I think honestly you're going to see that kind of back up and then him kind of go back to reality, being that normal running back that we expected him to be last year.
So since we're on mine, we'll do my top 10 first. But if anybody wants to watch the video from the other night, I will post that over in the chat. Hopefully that worked. Yep. You can watch that over on YouTube after the stream is done, if you don't mind. It says we have 5 people here, Shawn. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Shawn and I live stream every Thursday at 7 Eastern time and Sundays at noon. It's kind of quiet now in the off season. But yeah, Shawn, you're working on some cool things, graphics wise for the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it up a little bit this year and kind of make it overall better, just so people can see different things as we do different games this year.
Yeah, so once again, thank you everybody for being here. If you don't like our rankings, let us know in the chat. You can also let us know who your favorite team is there. If you click your points down at the bottom, you can pick your favorite team. It'll tell us in the chat who that is. But like I said, since we're on mine, Shawn, let me share my top 10 with you, and go ahead if you want to move the slides for me.
Go ahead and starting at number 10 for you.
Christian McCaffrey, I have him projected. I have the projections right here. Let me look. I have McCaffrey projections wise as the fourth ranked running back. I just don't like he can't stay healthy, and there are rumors that they want to get rid of him. So if I do get McCaffrey in the draft, I'm also drafting Chuba Hubbard. Just to handcuff him. But definitely, if he stays healthy, he's definitely a top 10 running back in the NFL.
Yeah, I think if he stays healthy, he's definitely a top 10, probably close to top 5. But can he stay healthy? That's the big question.
Yeah, I don't know. So go ahead.
Going to number 9.
I got Nick Chubb. I dropped Chubb down a little bit. They have a big question mark at quarterback. It doesn't look. I'm not sure what it looks like for Watson. Could be 6 to 8 games, like I'm hearing. There's also Jason Lockenfora from CBS is saying that he'll never play for the Browns. Watson will never play for the Browns. So that's and Baker wants out, so that's definitely going to hurt the quarterback position, which in turn is going to hurt the running back situation. So I dropped Chubb down a little bit, but if for some reason Watson is there, Chubb could definitely be top 5.
Yeah, and my only question with Watson is the NFL, do they reverse the trade? What could end up happening with that? Because if I'm the Browns and I just gave up all these draft picks and then now you're going to suspend them maybe a year, even a year plus, if that ends up being the case, like how does that kind of go about? But then again, the Browns also knew what they were coming into and what they were getting. But now it comes down to the NFL.
Swift is a top 10 in my opinion. Yeah, we'll see where we have them. In my number 8, Leonard Fournette had a resurgence with the Bucks. It definitely helps having Tom Brady as your quarterback, but they also have great receivers there. The tight end is going to be a question this year. You still kind of think Gronk will come out of retirement towards the season.
Tom Brady picks up that phone.
Yeah, and Fournette, I mean, definitely, like I said, resurgence there in Tampa Bay. Definitely, this 8 even might be a little low for him.
Yeah, but my only concern with him is he gets a lot of catches out of the backfield, but he doesn't really run the ball great when he gets handed the ball. So I think more of him as the receiving back over the running back. My side of my opinion on him.
Right, agreed.
Jump
ahead.
Up to number 7 for you.
Number 7, Najee Harris. Earlier in the offseason, I had Harris a little bit higher than this, and he dropped just because I don't like what they're doing at the quarterback situation there in Pittsburgh. They signed Trubisky for a couple of years, and the quarterback they shouldn't taken in the draft, they take in the first round. So I think that right now that offense isn't good. That's gonna hurt Harris a little bit. Dropping him out of the top 5 and at number 7. Still definitely one of the 7 best running backs in the game, but just tampering my expectations this year a little bit.
Yeah, I think the quarterback situation definitely hurts him a lot here.
Yeah, agreed. And coming in at number 6, like Harold said over in the chat, Swift is a top 10 in his opinion. Mine as well. Swift, I absolutely love DeAndre Swift with the Detroit Lions. Right now, I'm not even sure who their backup is. I would have to look that up. So
Javonte Williams.
No, Javonte Williams?
No. Yeah, I think it's Javonte Williams. He used to be on the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, okay. Well, then there's 2 guys in the NFL named Javonte Williams at running back?
I believe so.
Okay. But Swift, let me come over and look. I have Swift projected at 202 carries, 834 yards, 6 touchdowns, but also adding anywhere between 60 and 70 catches out of the backfield. That's what's going to help Swift in fantasy. Yeah, hopefully a good year for him. Absolutely.
No, I think honestly, I think 6 is even low for Swift. I think honestly he was top 5 last year until he got injured. And that was without even having a lot of touchdowns going on his resume last year. He was doing with all the yards. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think the last time there was 1,000-yard rusher for the Lions was Barry Sanders.
Mm.
So does that happen this year?
Yeah,
And do we?
I don't know.
I mean, I think Swift last year he broke there was like 110 game streak that they had not even a 100-yard rusher in a game, and he broke that last year, and I think he beat it twice or 3 times.
Yeah, and I just looked. Swift did finish 23rd last year, but like you said, he missed some time, missed 4 games. So at least if he plays all 17, he'll definitely be top 10 this year, and like you said, maybe even higher. Joe Mixon from the Bengals, another guy. Finished 3rd last year. I have him projected at 7th this year, but he replaced Najee Harris in the top 5 for me. Just quality back, doesn't miss much time. He only missed 1 game last year. So Harold says, "Oops, sorry, Shawn. I wanted to pop in and say hello. Hope you two have a great stream. I'm heading to my mom's for a picnic." Well, Harold, enjoy. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by.
And we'll see you Thursday.
Yeah, yep. He always pops in on Thursday as well. Some of our regulars aren't. So what's weird is our regulars on Thursday don't show up for Sunday. Hopefully that changes for football season. But let's move. Any comments? I know you'll go through your list, but your thoughts on Mixon? I have Mixon in the top 5.
Yeah, I like him there. I think that's about where he should be. My only concern is with Jamar Chase getting the ball a lot, what kind of outcome happens with Joe Burrow from there.
Agreed. So let's go to my number 4, Dalvin Cook. Too bad we don't have a new picture. He did change his jersey number, right?
Yeah, it's number 4 now, but there's no really photos of him in an actual jersey with it, so that's why.
Gotcha. Last year he finished 15th, missed 4 games. I don't know. I have him projected at 5th this year, but number 4 on my list where I would take him. Not much to say about him. He's going to put up his numbers. He had great numbers last year until he got hurt and missed those games.
Yeah, that's the only problem is at the end of the day is he gets his injury prone, and he's got to just stay healthy. At the end of the day, he's got to keep staying healthy in order to be the successful top 5 running back. He can't keep getting banged up every year, missing 2, 3, 4 games.
And I just looked. I do have him projected to get just under 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. As a Vikings fan, what do you think? Those numbers high or low?
My thing is he could have the breakout year like Jonathan Taylor had. It just comes down to it is that he's got to stay healthy, and Kirk Cousins got to get the ball to him. So it comes down to him he's got to stay from getting injured so often, like getting banged up so very easily, ankle injuries and all that. So I think if he's healthy, he could honestly have an MVP performance type year.
Yeah, so let's look. Oops. Pokemon escaped. Next time that comes up, I'm going to put in the chat how to play Pokemon here in the chat. If you've never done it, I'll show you next time it says there's one here. But let's go down to my number 3.
All righty.
Austin Eckler from the Chargers. Another one of my favorite players in the NFL. Chargers are one of my favorite teams. Besides my Jets, I always want my Jets to win no matter who they're playing. That doesn't happen often, so I like to. The Chargers are one of the other teams. They usually don't play the same time as the Jets, so I usually get to watch a lot of their games as well. But man, Eckler, I have him projected 3rd as well in the fantasy projections. Only 900 yards rushing projected, 10 touchdowns, but he's going to add anywhere between 75 and 80 receptions out of the backfield, and another 5 to 6 touchdowns there. So even if you just took his running back stats, he'd definitely be top 20. But then you're also adding his catching the ball out of the backfield stats, which would probably be almost top 20 or top 25 for a wide receiver as well. 78 catches, 6 touchdowns. So Eckler is
Yeah.
going to put up the numbers.
Yeah, honestly, I think at the end of the day, you almost could consider Eckler a receiver as well for as many catches as he gets out of the backfield. And that's the best part about him is that how often he catches the ball out of the backfield. So I think that's where he gets a lot of his points is because of the receptions and all that. But he also does get a lot just because of the yardage and how he sees the field so very well.
So let's go down to my number 2. Where did my notes go? I have Derrick Henry at number 2. Derrick Henry missed 9 games last year, and still finished the 14th best fantasy running back. He was averaging 117 yards a game, rushing, adding 2 to 3 receptions a game. And I have him projected this year actually to get 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 30 catches out of the backfield. Their quarterback situation, I don't like it, and they do have some wide receiver issues. I think, at least. So I think Henry. I don't know. The problem is with Henry, he's like Barry Sanders to me. You know, he can go 3 straight plays where he gets negative 1 yard to 1 yard, and then he can bust off a long 85-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with him is that his size and all that he can break 3 straight rushes of like 20, 30 yards at a time and then stiff arm and throw everybody around like they're sitting still. So that's where I think Henry comes into play. I think that's because of his size and all of that. He's so great of a player. My only concern is kind of like you said, the quarterback situation. Like he's not really going to get the ball thrown a lot towards him just because they don't really throw the ball too very often like that. So I think that's where he kind of has to gets most of his points is just running the ball and getting the touchdowns.
Yeah, agreed. So definitely, I mean, he didn't come back for the. Did he come back for the playoffs last year?
Yeah, he came back in the playoffs.
Oh, okay. So we know he's healthy, so he should be ready to go. But then at number 1, I got Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. I think adding Matt Ryan is going to help that offense. I know they have some question marks at wide receiver, but right now I have Taylor at number 1. In my rankings, also in our projections, I have him number 1. Another guy, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns, and adding anywhere from 40 to 50 catches out of the backfield. So he's a little bit more durable out of the backfield, unlike Henry. And last year, he averaged 19 and a half carries per game and still averaged over 106 yards per game.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is just built differently. But like you said, kind of the topic of the quarterback situation there with Matt Ryan, how is he going to react with Matt Ryan? Because he's going from Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan. They're both kind of similar quarterbacks, not mobile, do a lot of check downs, and also have the arm deep enough to throw the ball deep down the field. So I think that's where how does Jonathan Taylor play in on a game with that being the outcome now, quarterback?
And going by strength of schedule based off of last year's numbers, he's playing the 30th worst. They're playing the 30th easiest schedule. So he's got good matchups on paper. So he should be able to duplicate what he did last year. Maybe the catches. They're playing top 5 defenses against running backs, getting catches out of the backfield. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes from here. But yeah, Taylor has definitely passed Henry as my number 1 running back.
Yeah, he definitely Jonathan Taylor is definitely a better running back than Henry just because of I think of not having the quarterback situation as good as what Taylor has.
Yeah, so that was my top 10. I will post this link over on YouTube as well. It won't be, we can't post it until tomorrow. It's got to be 24 hours afterwards. So, but let's recap my top 10.
Yep.
Or did you put your top 10 up?
Yep, I switched them over, but hold on one second. There you go.
And number 10 for me was Christian McCaffrey. Just can't stay healthy. But definitely, like I said, projected at 4 in our running backs, but he misses time every year. So in our fantasy, when we've been doing mock drafts, he's been going 1 a lot. I would not take Christian McCaffrey number 1. I probably wouldn't take him in the first round either.
No, I agree with that one. I'm definitely not going to be taking him early at all in any draft.
Yeah. So coming in at number 9 for me was Nick Chubb from the Browns. It's weird to think I have him number 9, but I have question marks about him just because of that team with the quarterback situation. So it'll be interesting to see. And he does split carries. So coming in at number 8, I had Leonard Fournette from the Buccaneers. Just like resurgence of his career down there with Tom Brady. So I expect him to put up some good numbers as well as again this year. I have him at 875 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, almost 70 catches out of the backfield. So that's where a lot of his points are coming. So if you're in PPR leagues, and that's what I base my rankings on, was PPR. Definitely get Fournette in your backfield.
Yes, that's where a lot of his points come from, is the reception side of the ball. Just because, I mean, I would say almost 50% of them come from his receptions overall, from the other than being the actual running back.
And I just looked. I have it up on my screen here. Fournette and DeAndre Swift are the most targeted running backs out of the backfield.
Interesting.
Coming in number 7, I had Najee Harris. Once again, another great running back that gets knocked down just because of the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. So the receivers, I know they have Deontay Johnson, Claypool saying he's a top 3 receiver in the league. Well, first off, to be top 3, you got to be able to play every game, and he can't do that. So once again, another player where expectations just knock him down a little bit. I do have him projected at 1,100 yards, but another guy, 60 to 65 catches out of the backfield. So whoever the quarterback is definitely going to be dumping the ball off to him.
Yeah, I agree.
DeAndre Swift, guy we just talked about, most targeted out of the backfield last year. So here we go again, another guy going to get 60 catches out of the backfield and at least 800 yards rushing, and should have combined anywhere from 10 to 15 touchdowns, I believe. At 5, Joe Mixon. Let's see. I have him at 1,100 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, 45 catches out of the backfield, and with a total of 12 touchdowns. Now they do have a tough schedule this year, but and there's so many weapons on that team. But I still have him top 5. Could you imagine if they gave him the ball even more?
Yeah, that would be my only concern, is him not getting the ball enough.
Yep.
And coming at number 4 for you,
your guy Dalvin Cook. I have him projected again. Another guy, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, running, and then adding anywhere from 40 to 50 catches out of the backfield.
Coming at number 3,
Austin Eckler. What's he got? He's 3rd on the list for catches out of the backfield for running backs, and I have him projected at 78 catches out of the backfield and 900 yards rushing, total of 16 touchdowns. So definitely top 3.
Coming at number 2 for you,
Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans. He's back healthy, at least 1,600 yards this year. I have him projected at 12 touchdowns at the moment. And they, on paper, they have a fairly easy schedule going up against run defenses. So I mean, Henry's going to get his numbers anyway, as long as he's healthy. So, but I wish they just had a little bit better of a quarterback there for him.
I agree. And then coming at number 1 for you.
Of course, Jonathan Taylor with the Colts. Adding Matty Ice there in Indianapolis is going to help big time. Open some things up. I think and another team that has some question marks at wide receiver. But yeah, Taylor. Like I said, Taylor averaged just over 106 yards a game last year. I have him at 1,600 yards this year, with 40-something catches out of the backfield for a total of 16 touchdowns. So.
Mm-hmm. All righty, and there's your recap of your top 10.
Let's look here. Let me just go over to the Twitch thing, Shawn. It says we have 5 people watching. First off, thank you for being here. If you are here, leave a comment in the chat. Let us know you're here. Even if you're just lurking, type in that you're lurking as well. If you're not following us, Shawn and I live stream every Thursday at 7, Sundays at noon Eastern, and hopefully things pick up here once training camp starts. Hopefully guys start asking more fantasy related questions, Shawn, getting into their drafts. I know we have the fantasy league here. I will put that in the chat if anybody's interested in that. Couple of guys that were interested that I had to adjust some of the rules for. They are away for the weekend and said they would join when they were back. So I believe last time I checked, we were at 6 teams. Yep. So Shawn has come up with some great prizes for the free league. We'll give out some prizes. We'll announce the draft date. Don't go by the draft date that's on there now. We'll come up with a day where everybody can pick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Shawn, we've also set up DraftKings as well. Why don't you talk a little bit about what's going on with DraftKings? And I'll put a link in the chat for DraftKings as well.
Yeah, we're just going to create a league, therefore people can just join for a week-to-week basis. We'll have it for Thursday night, Monday night, Sunday night games, and then we'll have one for all day Sunday. And then whenever they have the occasional special games like Christmas Day on a Saturdays or the Thanksgiving Thursday game, have it that the lineups go for all those games as well. So we'll just have a quick, fun, competitive lineup just to have throughout the year, and you don't have to worry about going a yearly if you don't want to do yearly and just do week to week. Some people like to just do it that way.
Yeah, and we have the real Joe Finger over in the chat saying Breece Hall going to be a beast, JETS. I agree. Joe, I have Breece Hall at number 17. Shawn, you did not have him projected in your top 20, right?
No, I did not.
So we did the recap. So if anybody's over in the chat, here's how and are interested in Pokemon. There you go. Just do that in the chat. Gives you guys something to do a little interaction while Shawn and I are talking. But yeah, what's funny is you have Connor on the screen here. In 11 through 20, that was the only player we had the same. So let's see how your top 10 did. Do you want me to do adjust the slides, or are you going to do that?
I'll do it for you.
Okay. Who did you have at number 10 and why?
At my number 10, I have Joe Mixon. I just think he's going to have a drop-off this year. They had the Super Bowl run last year, but I think the drop-off comes just because Joe Burrow is going to start throwing the ball more. He's coming back fully healthy now. Last year, he wasn't as healthy. He was still not 100%. I would say he was like 80, 85%. This year now he's coming back from his injury from 2 years ago. He's fully healthy. So that's definitely a game changer. And he's definitely going to throw the ball a lot more. And he's going to use Chase and Boyd a lot more into this game, as well as Higgins. So I think that's why Mixon has a drop-off this year in fantasy numbers.
So I just wanted to say we did bring the real Joe Fingers comment up on the screen, but it says he's a first-time chatter. So, Joe, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I said, Shawn and I live stream every Thursday at 7, Sundays at noon. Hopefully things should pick up once training camp starts. So hopefully Thursdays are right now, Shawn. Thursdays are better streams number-wise. But
yeah.
But we'll keep going here.
And coming at my number 9, I have Najee Harris. He's 2 spots lower than what you have him. I just think the quarterback situation concerns me. you got to have a quarterback that can get the ball to your running backs and be able to produce enough numbers to be a top 10 quarterback, running back on a year. And I think the quarterback situation is definitely going to hurt Najee this year compared to last year, with Big Ben was just kind of dumping the ball off a lot because of the amount of pressure he was getting. So I think from that being said, I think Najee has a really down sophomore year compared to what he had in his freshman year.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I agree with you, knocking his numbers down. Earlier in the offseason, I would have had him in the top 5, but they didn't do enough at the quarterback position to help him there. And I really don't like their receivers. I know Johnson puts up good numbers, and like we said in my top 10, Claypool, thinking he's a top 3 receiver in the league. It'll be interesting to see on Thursday when we start sharing our top 20 to see if he even makes the list. But keep going with your list here.
Coming in at number 8, I got playoff Lenny. I just think that because the amount of catches he gets out of the backfield, that definitely changes the pace of the game for the Bucs. And if Gronk were to stay retired this year, I think Leonard Fournette's numbers are only going to get better just because he used Gronk a lot last year in the short yardage game. So I think now you'll see Leonard kind of get going on what he's going to do for a number-wise and kind of see how it is. And then after this year, kind of see what kind of happens without Tampa having Tom Brady and what numbers Fournette can get.
Let me just go back over to mine. Actually, we both had Fournette at 8.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 2. That's 2. All right. Hey, we're getting better. But who'd you have at 7?
I got DeAndre Swift right there. I just think that he's still a top 7. He definitely could be a top 5 any given week. I think that he's only getting better as the year goes on. He's only going to get better as his career goes on. And I think, honestly, Detroit has found their franchise running back to second what Barry Sanders did there. I do think that he's going to have a great career in Detroit, and I think he has. He's only going to have a great year there as well. I think, honestly, I could see him having a 1,500 to 1,800 yard season this year.
Mm-hmm. So, go ahead.
And then coming in at my number 6, I have Christian McCaffrey. I have an upside of him. I think, honestly, if he's healthy, he's going to have a great year. I think that's where I'm kind of basing my numbers off of, is where he comes in playing fully. This is a full year, I'm thinking, for him. And that's saying if he's on the Panthers by the time season starts. If they trade him, he could be on a different team and completely change everything here. But I'm thinking he has a good year. He's healthy, and with the amount of catches he can get out of the backfield and the touchdowns he can score, I think that's what makes him a top 6 running back on the year.
And if for some reason they do trade him, how much does that boost Chuba Hubbard's numbers?
Honestly, I think that just comes down to, well, for McCaffrey, I think it comes down to where he goes. Chuba Hubbard, I think, honestly, it's not going to really make him a top 20 running back yet. I think he's still trying to learn the game, and I think he would end up sharing the running back a lot more then.
Okay, let's move into your top 5. You have McCaffrey a little bit higher than I do.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, I still have him top 10. I just the injury, he gets injured every year, so that's why I knocked him down. But go ahead with number 5.
Coming at my number 5, when I told you this, you kind of questioned me and go, "You're an idiot." And honestly, and then
but I say that no matter what the situation is.
That is true. But then you're like, how's he going to be number 5 with 6 weeks off?
Right.
It don't matter if he has 6 weeks off. Because if he ends up getting the 6 weeks, I think he'll end up appealing it. He could end up playing until the games, until he gets appeals done, whatnot, and trying to drag it out. And then he could end up dragging it out long enough, I think, or end up playing it smart and dropping it on their bye week. Therefore, he only misses technically 5 of their games or 5 weeks. I'm not sure really how that could work, or he could appeal it all the way and end up playing the whole year, and then next year being a 6-game suspension if he were to get it, or 3 games, depending on how they do it. But the amount of catches he gets out of the backfield, we saw it in the Green Bay game last year when they played. I think it was on Monday Night Football. The guy missed like 6 tackles and scored a 45-yard touchdown, just bobbing and weaving, running behind a center, to throwing defenders off him. the guy sees the field and kind of controls it. It's almost like a video game for him. Like the way he moves, jukes, and moves around the field. I mean, 2 years ago, or was it last year or 2 years ago, 6 touchdowns in one game? I think it might have been last year on Christmas Day. He scored 6 touchdowns in one game. I mean, the guy is great on the football field. Issues off the field, obviously, but I think honestly, he's a top 5 running back if he plays all year long.
And projection-wise, I just looked him up. We have him 12th overall, just under 200 attempts, 800 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, but adding 60 catches out of the backfield as well.
Yeah, and he could have more than that, just depending how the quarterback situation plays out there as well with Jameis Winston.
Yep. So let's look at your top 4.
Coming at number 4 for me, we had Dalvin Cook at the same numbers. I just think that Dalvin is a top 5 running back. I think that he could be better than that, but he could also be worse than that just because of how he gets banged up. But I think this year, the running back game in Minnesota could change a lot just because of the offense, the coach, everything's kind of changing. So if you kind of look at the numbers LA Rams had last year, they throw the ball 75 to running the ball 25. So does that hurt Dalvin Cook, or does he kind of come out of the backfield, get the ball thrown out of the backfield, kind of do it that way? So I think that's where the question mark kind of comes, and that's why I had him at number 4, just because I'm not really sure how he could play this year with the new offensive line going.
It'll be interesting to see because right now I do have Cook projected at 47 catches, so maybe those numbers go up as well. And I have him projected as the fifth overall running back, but like you said, we both had him ranked 4th. So that was good there. What are you thinking of your Vikings? The new head coach there. What do you think? That division could be wide open.
It's hard to say, honestly, what we could have. I guess we'll find out when preseason comes, and then once week 1 officially starts, what kind of coach we have. That'll be the big question marks that get answered week 1. Until then, I'm going to have the questions of what kind of team are we really going to have and what kind of defense do we have.
Yeah, so let's look at your top 3.
My number 3 is Derrick Henry. I have him at 3 just because of the lack of the quarterback, lack of the receivers. He doesn't really have any help. He's kind of the big man on the team now. He's probably the only guy on the team that you can rely on. And for that being said, I see him being number 3, but I also see he could be number 1 or he could be the 10th best this year, honestly. I'm not really sure what the Titans offense is really going to look like. They got rid of pretty much everybody that they had. Brown, Julio. They brought Tannehill back. They don't really have a tight end that's relevant. But they drafted Drake London. So what kind of team do the Tennessee Titans have? I'm not really sure. So like I said, Derrick Henry's got a big question mark beside him. Kind of like McCaffrey, kind of like Nick Chubb had. What kind of team do they have?
I'll have to look. London went to the Falcons, so I'll have to look. I know the Titans did.
It was Treylon Burks.
Oh, Burks. I was going to say I knew they drafted a guy. But yeah. So like you said, they still need help there at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, they need a lot of help.
So and the quarterback situation. I believe they ended up drafting Willis out of Liberty.
Yeah, and then Tannehill said I'm not helping him.
Okay, well.
But my number 2 is Jonathan Taylor.
Whoa.
I think that Jonathan Taylor is a number 2 for me just because of the quarterback situation, not many receiver help besides Pittman. I think kind of a drop off this year from his MVP season caliber numbers last year. I think that he still has a great year, but I think honestly he's going to take a back step a little bit, maybe 200-300 yards less than what he had. Average maybe like 90, 95 yards a game compared to the 106 he was averaging. I think that's being said, he's my number 2. He's without a doubt top 3 in the year fully healthy, on my opinion.
So that means whoever you have at number 1, if you end up with the first pick, you're taking this guy?
If I have the number 1 pick, if he's available and I get the pick, I'm taking who I have at my number 1.
Okay.
And coming at number 1 for me, Austin Eckler. the guy is a game changer. The amount of catches he gets, the amount of yards he can get, and Justin Herbert is going to feed him the ball this year. The step up this year that Justin Herbert has is going to be game changing. And I think Austin Eckler is going to be the main focus point of that game changing year and having an MVP type year as well, with him being that he wants to get that big payday. So Austin Eckler is number one in my books as the running back position over Taylor and Henry. And just because the catches, the rushing yards he can get, the amount of touchdowns he can get, and the way the offense is, you can be a reliable offense with the Chargers, where number 2 and number 3 on my board have the big question mark on offense.
Yeah, especially with the Chargers, you get Keenan Allen on one side, Mike Williams on the other side. So if those guys stay healthy, you can't guard everybody, and especially a guy like Eckler coming out of the backfield, like you said. Man, that Chargers team is going to be fun to watch this year.
Yeah, I think honestly it's going to be a great year for Eckler, honestly, and I think that with the whole Chargers offense, it's going to be a great year just because they put so many pieces together and they brought everybody back, and it's only going to get stronger as an offense.
So combined, I just looked. Eckler, we have projected combined at 1,300 yards, 78 receptions, and 16 touchdowns. What do you think on paper? Our numbers low. He gets more than that.
I think honestly he could have upwards around 20 touchdowns on the year. I think just because of the amount of games he can get multiple touchdowns.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at their schedule, and like I said, we're going off of last year's numbers. Fairly easy schedule opponents, and those AFC West games are going to be high scoring affairs, I believe.
Absolutely, but let's do my recap of my top 10. At number 10, I brought in Joe Mixon. He was lower than what you expected, but I think for me, he's going to have a backseat year just because of the weapons are only going to get – the ball's only going to get thrown more in that offense, and the division rivals he plays, all defenses have gotten better, and I think that's why he has a down year. Number 9, Najee Harris. A lot of question marks at the quarterback situation. They don't really have much help there. The offensive line didn't really get too much improvement on the year, so I think that's why I think Najee is a number 9. He could definitely fall outwards of the top 10, but he could also have upside and be a top 5 running back on the year. We don't really know. Number 8, playoff Lenny. He's reliable. With Tom Brady, everything's reliable, so you can depend on him, and I think that's why I have him at number 8. He's dependable. You know what you're going to get with him as long as he's healthy. Number 7, DeAndre Swift. He's kind of like Najee Harris to me. He could be top 4, top 3, 4, or he could be 12 to 15. But I do think he's a top 10 running back on the year without a doubt. And I think he's only going to get better as the year goes on from week 1 to week 18. I think he's only going to get better as each week goes on, get stronger, and start seeing the field more better and better as each goes on. Number 6, I have CMC. I think he plays healthy this year, plays a full 17 games this year healthy. And with the quarterback situation going on in Carolina, not really sure what you're going to have. I think that's why McCaffrey kind of is reliable for me at number 6, because I think I see him getting the ball fed a lot because of the whole quarterback situation.
And it'll be interesting to see. I know the last year, the four or so weeks, Darnold was looking good when he had McCaffrey in the game with him.
And then once McCaffrey was out, it was kind of a downward fall.
Yep.
Coming in at number 5 for me is Alvin Kamara. Obviously, what does the NFL do about his suspension? Does it happen this year? What happens with it? How many games? But if he plays every game, I have him at number 5, just because the amount of catches he gets, the amount of times he can see the ball and see the field and move around, jump around, and just get all about where he needs to get a touchdown. And the amount of touchdowns that he gets for multiple times a year, I think that's why he's number 5 for me. Coming in number 4, we have a Dalvin Cook. He's just reliable. Every year he's reliable. Even when he gets banged up, he comes back the following week. He's still playing, and he's still doing what he can to contribute. I just want to see him take the next step and kind of jump into that top 3 as a running back and play all 17 games. If he can play all 17 games, he's definitely he's going to change the running back game for Minnesota for sure.
And he missed, let me look here. He missed 4 games last year and still finished 15th best running back in fantasy.
Yeah, so he has upside if he plays every game.
Yep.
Coming at number 3 for me is Derrick Henry. The offensive line, offense in general, is a whole question mark for Derrick Henry. And with that, I couldn't see him being a top 2 running back this year. I don't see him being that great of a running back this year just because of the offense. And I could see him honestly having a really down year and being very upset with the organization on kind of getting rid of on the weapons. That could definitely help him open the field up.
Right.
Coming in number 2, Jonathan Taylor. He takes a step back this year for me. And with the quarterback change, I think that's going to be a different changer for me just because Matt Ryan doesn't really do many checkdowns. So I think that's going to be a big game changer for me, and that's why he goes from number 1 to number 2.
Gotcha.
And my number 1 is the LA Chargers, Austin Eckler. The offense is reliable. The offense, everyone came back. We know what we're getting on paper, and we know what he brings to the table. And with that being said, he's my number 1.
Yeah, I like that. I like your reasoning for him being number 1. I just don't know, man, if I ended up with the first overall pick, I don't know how I would pass on Taylor. But you know, that's why you win that's why you win championships and I get knocked out in the first or second round of the playoffs.
Hey, exactly. So that's why we see different sides of the ball.
Yeah, it'll be. I think on Thursday night we'll start with our top 20 wide receivers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch this back up to our normal look here. I'm going to work on this too. Working with some other companies on getting some sponsorship. So hopefully switch that up. But yeah, man, Shawn, top 20 wide receivers. Let's see. For running backs, I don't remember how many quarterbacks we had the same. For running backs, we had 3 exactly the same. But before we even start talking about wide receivers, how many do you think we have the same?
0.
We're gonna have 0 the same.
We're gonna have 0 the same, just because I see different sides of receivers than you.
Wow, 0. I think you're wrong.
I think we have 0 the same.
I think we have at least 1, and I think it'll be number 1.
Nope.
Okay, you don't know who my number 1 receiver is.
I can tell you it's not going to be who I have.
Okay. So you want to let me know who your number 1 is now or no?
Oh, it's Chase Claypool.
That's who I was going to have at number 1.
No, I think, honestly, who I have at number 1 is going to be definitely going to confuse a bunch of people who I have at number 1.
So I'm just looking at our projections here. It'll be interesting to see. Definitely, there's some guys in the top 20 here in our projections that I wouldn't take. I wouldn't draft in the top 20 at their position. So, but yeah, we'll start sharing those Thursday night. We'll be live streaming at 7 p.m. as well Thursday night. Once preseason starts, and maybe if there's some Thursday night games, Shawn, maybe go a little longer while there's a Thursday night game or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're at 6 people now. Guys, post a comment in the chat. Let us know who your favorite teams are. Let us know who your favorite fantasy players are. Let us know if you want to join our free fantasy league, where we have some giveaways that Shawn will announce once we fill up. Right now we're at 6. Oh, go ahead.
And let us know who your favorite is between me and John. I know I probably am. A lot of people can't stand John. We've all been there. That's why he gets muted a lot.
Oh man. Oh, that was funny. Man, see, you can be funny. Even though it's at my expense, you can be funny.
Yeah, well, it's always at your expense.
Oh man. Now come on. I know there's 6 people here. Somebody's got to post something in the chat. We're not going anywhere, Shawn, until somebody posts something in the chat. Besides me or you.
I guess I gotta go get a pillow. Get my afternoon nap here.
So we do have. I just saw somebody liked my tweet that I tweeted out before. We do have some people lined up to come on to talk about their teams as well. we'll take a deeper dive into some of the teams. We have an LA Rams YouTuber that's going to come on. We definitely have. I'm a Jets fan, but we have another Jets fan that's going to come on talk about their team. I have another. Even though you're a Vikings fan, I have another Vikings fan that wants to come on talk about their team. I have a 49ers fan lined up. And I actually have Mo Egger from ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati, who said he's willing to come on and talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. We can ask him any Cincinnati questions we want there. What sleeper quarterback do you think will be a fantasy football star this season? Ooh, man, Shawn,
He was he was in my top 10 of my quarterbacks this year. Derek Carr.
Derek, yes,
no one's.
you did.
I don't think anyone's drafting him, and I just think that being said, I think that's a game changer. He's definitely going to be a sleeper. And my second top sleeper, he was also in my top 10, was Kirk Cousins. I just think because of the weapons.
And that's who I was just going to say, Kirk Cousins for me. He was just outside of my top 10. But if you look at his numbers from last year, Rye Cannon is here as well. Yo, Rye Cannon, what's up, buddy? How are you? How was your stream yesterday? I know you streamed he was scheduled to stream for 6 hours, and I turned it on around 7 o'clock, and he was still going. So he's probably all worn out from that. But thank you for being here. Yeah, for me, my top sleeper is probably Cousins. If you look at his stats from last year, man, what was it? 33 touchdowns to, I don't know. The interceptions were low.
I think it was like 6.
So yeah,
I'm shocked you didn't. I'm shocked you didn't say Colin Kaepernick as your sleeper, or Deshaun Watson. He is a sleeper.
He might not even play. And what do you think? Maybe some guys from last year's draft, Shawn. Who do you think is going to be the better quarterback out of Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Davis Mills, Justin Fields, Trey Lance? Who I planned on drafting Carr over all those others this season. The weapons and chemistry Carr will have. And with the head coach he now has, then will be a great season. Yeah, the real Joe Finger's already thinking like Shawn.
Honestly, who I think has the best sophomore year is Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
I just think because of the weapons, he has Etienne back, and they brought in Christian Kirk, so that's a lot of speed for him.
What's his name?
Etienne. Etienne, whatever.
I'm gonna from now on. You get muted every time. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. Zach Wilson be the star of that draft class. That's what I'm saying right there. Hold on.
Trevor Lawrence.
Got my little man yesterday in the green jersey. That's the Chase version. When he was advertised, he was in a white jersey. And I'm like, oh, man, I got the green jersey.
No, I just think Trevor Lawrence, just because of the weapons they added. He gets his running back from college, who they drafted with him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a game changer for him. I think that's honestly what he needed to take the next step in his career.
And adding Doug Peterson as head coach is really going to help that team a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps out a lot.
But what about guys like Fields and let's say Lance? I still don't know what's going on with San Francisco. But yeah,
it's hard to say. Honestly, they haven't said anything, and we haven't heard anything.
But what do you think?
Oh, I think Jimmy G still stays there.
Okay.
And if he doesn't, I think Baker Mayfield gets traded there.
And so you bring up Baker. Now, what does Seattle do? Does Seattle stay with Drew Lock then?
Oh, that's it. That's their quarterback of the future right there.
I think honestly, they're tanking this season. They now have multiple first-round picks next year, and they're going to tank to get one of the quarterbacks next year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my opinion, honestly. I think that they're just kind of in it with Drew Lock and get what you can, and at mid-season, maybe even dump off Lockett and Metcalf.
Yeah, so Zach Wilson, yep. Let's see here. Some of the lower guys. Harold's not here. Honestly, I know we joke around a lot in the chat, in on stream about Jared Goff. Where do you is Jared Goff worth even having as a backup quarterback in fantasy leagues?
I don't see why not. If he plays all 17 games with Amon-Ra St. Brown's and with DeAndre Swift, they also brought on, I believe, DJ Chark. So, and you have Hawkinson. He just drafted Williams
Yep.
from Alabama,
Yep.
who's going to miss the first few weeks. But when he comes back, I don't see why not. I don't see why the Lions, honestly, at the end of the day, on paper, can't compete for the division. I said it at the beginning of the year last year. I said it after the draft. I said that I think, honestly, the Lions could be a sleeper this year in the season and could be competing for playoff spot. I think that it could happen.
And it was one of the streams we looked at Detroit in one score games. They went 2-6. If they flip that around, they're competing at least for a wild card spot. If they flip that around,
yeah, without a doubt, and that's where it comes down to is winning the one score games, and they just couldn't control them last year. I mean, I think this year, they honestly improve and get better. I think they're going to get better as the year goes on, and I think it's only going to get better for the team flowing together, getting better together, playing together. Preseason, I think, is where it's going to help out a lot.
So let me put this over here. So the Real Joe Finger, if you did not see it, because it said today was your first time chatting, so I don't know if you've been here before. Let me put this in the chat. Oh, actually, wrong one. Top 10 quarterbacks. So that nothing's going to come up for that one. Top 10 quarterbacks should work. That's our. It's over on YouTube because I'm not sure how to share our replays on Twitch. So check that out. That was our top 10 there. And if you don't mind giving us a little sub over there as well, or a follow, whatever they call it over there. But yeah, Shawn, we'll be back Thursday to start talking about our top 20 wide receivers. I'll get you my list on Tuesday, so you can work on those graphics as well.
Sounds good to me.
All right. And what's weird? I mean, we're not discussing with each other who our top 20 are, so we don't know until we actually share them on screen. But like you said, running backs we had 3 the same, and you're saying wide receivers we don't have any the same.
Nope, we won't.
So. So yeah, let's wrap it up this week. The Real Joe Finger put in the chat is a Jets fan. Well, thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing those points. And we'll be back Thursday at 7, and then again Sunday at noon next week as well. Shawn, anything to add before we head out?
See everybody next week on Thursday, and everyone have a good 4th of July tomorrow, and enjoy watching everyone eat those hot dogs at the hot dog competition.
All right, everybody. We'll see you Thursday night.
See you guys.